Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming and hang out with me. So, this morning I'm in my kitchen garden setup area, and I am getting ready to transplant some tomatoes this morning. If I take you in, you'll be able to see that I have a few tomatoes that I've already potted up that are sitting right here in this little cup over here. And I have some over here that I need to get transplanted out into the cup sizes. The reason why I'm doing this is because, as you all may or may not know, in March, the end of March, I'll be hosting a garden sale. So you can come get all your tomato starts, some peppers, and whatever you might need for your garden to get growing this season. So come along and watch and get some lessons on how to transplant tomatoes. Of course, you must remember to label your cups so you don't forget what you're going to be selling for your plant sale. So don't forget to label every cup that you got and plant them in the correct cup. So I'm going to get started with the transplanting now. I'm gonna look through here and see which ones look the healthiest and the best, and go from there. So I'm gonna start with my yellow pear because it's the biggest right here, and it's looking the most sad with the yellowing of the leaves over here, as you can see. Got a little bit of yellowing right here in the leaves. So one thing to remember with tomatoes is that it's perfectly fine to transplant them a little bit deeper than they are rooted. I'm sorry. So like, for instance, you see on this one, the root system is way down here. We have a whole stem right here. I'm gonna plant this and just peel off these lower leaves. Just pinch them right on off. And I'm gonna plant this tomato probably up to about right here. So all this down here is going to be planted underneath the soil line. And if you look really closely, you can see that the tomato stem has lots of little hairs on it. That right there is going to produce more roots underneath the ground, underneath the soil line. So that's why I'm going to plant these deeper. It's going to prevent the plant from being too leggy, and it's going to cause more root growth, and it's going to be a stronger, healthier plant. So, all right, so let's just pop this thing right on in the soil. I don't have anything in here right now. I'm just gonna pop it right here on the bottom. And then I'm just going to fill it up. It goes from being that much stem to this much stem. I'm just gonna fill it up. And it's not real technical or anything to just planting it deeper. I like to shake it up just so that it gets any air pockets out of the soil. Not too much air pockets, but it has to have some oxygen to breathe. And I'm just gonna place this right in my tray with the water, so then it'll be bottom watered, just like everything else. And that's how we're gonna do it. That's simple. That's simple. So I'm doing 3 of each of these varieties right now. I have 3 of my yellow pears. I'm just gonna gently, and show you real quick how I gently tug it out of there. Gently tug doesn't really sound like, sounds kind of weird, huh? Gently tug. How do you gently tug something? But you just gently press from the bottom and it just pops right out. That simple. From here, I'm going to take off the first set of leaves and then the first set of shrew leaves, and then I have my cup right here, and I'm just gonna place them right on in the bottom of the cup. And then fill it up with soil. Now we have a healthy looking yellow pear tomato. And this will last in here until my garden sale in March. It will last in there and have a nice healthy root system all the way up until March. Why did I get these started so early, you might ask? Well, I like to have my clients and my customers have a good head start on the season. So by the time March comes around, these will still be pretty small because their root system isn't gonna get that big in these tiny little cups. But they'll be big enough to where you'll have at least maybe a few flowers, maybe a few fruit on there. But either way, they'll still be healthy enough to go directly into the garden in the end of March, April timeframe when the weather warms up to about 50-degree temperatures at night. If you hear the whining in the background, that's just my puppy. He's upset because the boys are getting ready to go outside. He knows the routine, so he's ready to go outside and play. I'm gonna get one more of these San Marzanos out of here, and then I'm gonna move on to the next variety, which is, I'm sorry, I keep calling it San Marzano. This is yellow pear. This next variety I'm going to be planting is my beefsteak. And this one, because the bottom leaves don't look that bad, I'm just going to take off one. I'm sorry. The bottom leaves don't look that bad on this one, so I'm just going to take off. Hey, hey, hey. Take Bella out first, please. The bottom leaves on this one don't look that bad, as you can see. This one is still nice and green, but I'm still going to take it off because I want to encourage more root development along the stem line. And I still want a little short, bushy looking plant as long as possible until the garden sale. Trying to keep them nice and short and bushy. Just like that, we have 3 yellow pear tomatoes. The next variety I'm going to start planting is the beefsteaks. So beefsteaks are a red variety of tomato, which is typical what you see in like your burgers that you get from McDonald's or something like that. So beefsteak is like a regular red, large size tomato, standard size tomato. Great for tomato sandwiches if you're into those, and just regular eating. And about the yellow pears. Yellow pears are kind of look exactly how they sound. They are pear shaped. They're nice and yellow. If you have a intolerance to red tomatoes because of the high acidity level, the yellow pear is great for that because they have less acid in them. And they're great in sauces as well as anything that you would be using tomatoes for. Thank you guys. And it's perfectly fine if you are transplanting your tomato, just to press in the soil, just lightly pressing the soil a little bit at the surface level. So I'm just gonna look through here because not all of my tomato plants look the best. So I'm gonna look through here and figure out which beefsteak I wanna take next. I'll bring you in close so you can see them. Let's see. These two are, this is the yellow pears I just planted. But these are my beefsteaks. As you can see, this one right here, they look really spindly and sad looking. So I'm not gonna really transplant those ones. They're 2 in 1 container. So I'm just gonna actually take these out so I can show them to you. If you look at them, they just look very sad and there's not much growth at the top. So I'm just going to just keep these to the side and they are going to get thrown into the compost. I want to just have the healthiest ones, the strongest looking, with the strongest looking root systems, and get those planted. See, this one doesn't look too bad. Nice and green, looking nice and healthy. And I'm going to plant it really deep. So just take off this bottom set of leaves. Make sure I have the right label and get it on in there. Max, no. So the next variety we're gonna plant is the black cherry. Yeah, the black cherry tomatoes. And if you look at my container, black cherries are growing very small. Let me see if I can flip this around a little bit so you can see. The black cherries are just row in the front, and they're the tiniest little variety right now so far. So I'm not sure if they're just stunted because they're hidden behind all the other tomatoes underneath the light, or if this is just how they're gonna grow. I remember growing black cherries last year and they grew very well. I had lots of tomatoes on these plants. So I don't think the small stature of them right now is going to reflect on how they're gonna grow in the future, but we shall see. But anyway, we're gonna do these exactly the same as we did everything else. Except with these ones, because they're so short, I will be putting a little bit of soil in the bottom. Just to ensure that I don't plant them too deeply. Ooh, and this came out with no soil on it. So we shall see how this one goes. It's got a tiny little root system on it, so that's possibly why. Let me see if I do on the other side. That's possibly why it's just not that big. It's got a tiny little root system on it. So just gonna put a little soil in the bottom of my cup, and then I'm getting a little hole for my root system to grow in. Place this little guy right on in the cup, and gently place the soil around the root system. And it's fine that it's lower in the cup right now, because when it gets taller and reaches the outside of the cup, I can layer some soil up the stem system a little bit more. let's get another one going. Let's see if I can get more roots this time. This one's a little bit bigger. These roots are very sensitive on this variety. I'm not saying every variety is this sensitive, but this one's breaking off on me. Another tiny root system, but it actually has some soil on it this time. And I'll show you what I do. As you can see, I just have a small little hole right in the center. I'm going to place this right here in the middle. And just gently, or not so gently, place soil around it. I'm gonna take it all the way up to this first set of leaves. As you can see, I'm taking it all the way up to the first set of leaves, the soil line. So, after everything has been planted, I have ended up with about 3 plantings of each variety of tomato that I started off with. Like I said, I got the Cherokee Purple, Chocolate Stripe, Black Cherry, Beefsteak, Yellow Pear, and San Marzano. That will be available for the plant sale in March, the end of March. So these are the varieties of tomatoes that I got growing right now. Over here I have what's left from the scraps that didn't look so good, and just the ones that I'm just going to just scrap and put into my compost bin. But these are all the tomatoes I have so far. And then I have some right over here as well, underneath the grow light. So those are the San Marzano, and as you can see right here, I have some Jamaican sorrel, some hibiscus right here that I started too. So there's some more up here going. I'm gonna get these ones underneath the light, and yeah, we'll be all set.